Hello and welcome to TradesFormation, podcast for maintenance-based tradies across the world, starting with Australia, of course. And today we're doing a bonus episode. And the bonus episode is because today is Valentine's Day in Australia. It's the 14th of February. And there's a lot of us out there in the trades world that have started a business with their significant other. And boy, does that come with some challenges, but it also comes with some great benefits as well. And we're going to discuss that in a lot more depth and detail. We have Scott and Vicky are back, and we also have Rohr from Drain ServiceTitan as well. Welcome. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Feeling all like that. With the chocolate.
We'll start with Vicky and Scott. Vicky and Scott, so how many years ago did you start actually working together? I know we touched on this in the last episode, excuse me, that you were in real estate. Was that in the last, 6 months ago?
I like to start with too many, so it doesn't how old we really are.
So we started dating in 88, right? Well, 87 actually, December 87. And we moved in together straight away. And then Vic started working full time, I'm thinking
95.
92.
Well, I got married, yeah.
And then she would do mainly work at night, so between a real estate and other job, she would work that. And that's how it started. So the best thing would have, and that's good. But you've got to have the right personalities to work together, and you've got to understand clear defined roles of what you're going to do, because otherwise it is a cluster. And it's the really hard one is not to bring the argument home. Hey, this is a lie, and we do the worst thing. We have a really bad thing in our life. We do talk a lot about work at home. We believe what we do, and it is a baby for us. So it's defining that line and making time outside of that for yourself is probably the trickiest part. We try to suck up to the advice, and you should agree. Absolutely. But it's definitely the challenge of it, right? For sure. And you've got to be uniform. You'll be on the same page here, but especially from people you work with. You can't get hating each other. You got to have a uniform front.
And don't get us wrong, we are not perfect. We've had moments where we just gone off at each other, and everyone in the office goes, "Oh my goodness, what we do." And it's what we turned and just burst out laughing, and everyone goes, "What happened?" You know?
Yeah, I think laughing because I can empathize with this. It's the person closest to you will push your buttons the most. So put yourself in a high pressure situation of work, and then to have your significant other there, like it could be rocks and diamonds. Like it could go either way really, really easily. Something I've noticed from when I worked with Nadia is that the stuff that was pushing my buttons wasn't actually Nadia. It was something else from my past representing itself in the present from that dynamic. It was as a past situation, and it became really cool. Then we said, all right, cool. Every time we get our buttons pressed, let's write it down and work on that. So it was actually the best form of personal development ever. Tough, but awesome. But I'd love to bring Ellen into this. Ellen, you've obviously started, I think, Hot Rod from memory, Bob, started Zoom Drains, and then you came in. Is that correct, or were you started?
We had
business
another company. In fact, when I came on board with Hot Rod, it's because his partner died suddenly.
Right.
So we had a best friend and a partner, and at age 33, he literally worked himself into a stress-induced health crisis and died.
Right.
And it was terrible. And I think the lesson for both of us then was let's not do that. And it's easy to sacrifice your relationships and your health for work. It takes over. You miss the gym. You don't see the game with your kids, and it's easy for that to happen. And I think that was a lesson to both of us. But then I quit my real job and I went to work with my husband, and it was awful. It was awful. And mostly there was two parts of this. Mostly is because we didn't have any money, and lack of money is so stressful.
So true.
Yeah. As we started to, I got some help. I figured out my acid from my elbow. We got better. And we started to make money. That's when I turned to my husband and I said, what do you want now? Money buys options. I was thinking more trucks, more area. Let's go. And Hot Rod said to me, I don't like any of this. I want to work all by myself. And so I think my message on Valentine's Day would be to let your spouse, your significant other, your kids, your friends, let them be who they want to be. I spent so much time trying to make my husband different. I'm embarrassed to even say it now, but lives got so much better when I just said, you do you, I'll do me, and we will stay together but not work together. So, to your point, a family business can be amazing with shared values and aligned vision. But if you don't see eye to eye with your dad or your mom or your son or your spouse, it's okay to take a different path.
Absolutely.
We have a responsibility to make our own dreams come true and let others be who they are. And I think that's why Hot Rod and I are still married.
Yes. That's so. It is so true. Like often in a marriage, opposites attract. So we chatted off air that you're a little bit more outgoing and charming and fantastic. And not saying that Bob or Hot Rod is not any of those things, but he's more reserved and more likes to work, as you've already mentioned, work on his own. And that was similar with Nadia and I. But they both come with different skill sets. So why not play to your strengths rather than trying to, like you say, mold someone into someone they're not? Because they're not going to stay in that mold for long without either creating more friction in their personal life or against the relationship or the business, and they're going to hate what they're doing. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from with that.
You feel something really special there where you said it's terrible being broke, right? And what you find in a lot of the husband and wife teams, the main pressure they have in life is financial, and it's because they've never learned to charge the self-esteem, the self-respect, and the belief in the worth of their business and themselves. Yeah. And it's really tragic. When I started my business, I was always expensive and never ashamed to be expensive, right? And I have people come up and say, "Are you ripping people off? You're expensive." Well, I say, "Whatever. That's life. You take yours, run or take mine." And you meet up with those people 20, 30 years later, and one came up to a trade show so long ago and said, "I owe you an apology. I bagged you out when you were starting your business. You're expensive. I thought, geez, you're ripping everyone off. And you've done really well, which we have a great team and people and a special wife for sure. And his wife divorced, never made enough money, never got his shit together. And it really drove home how important it is that if you're going to go into business and you're going to business together with your wife, set a plan, understand money, and get it right, because it is a slog and it does take a lot to be there. Get rewarded for your effort, so you can actually pay people, look after your family, give back to the community, and make people's lives better. You can't do it without it.
True. And it's really sad for us to see those people that weren't able to take that step and have that faith in themselves and belief in themselves that they can be that and do that. Well, there's so many people that we've come across that just say the word can't. And many years ago, we decided that word just does not exist.
Vicky, sorry, Scott, go for it.
Good one to teach children that the word can't doesn't exist in their life.
I like it. Vicky just said something about self-worth and self-belief, and I've done a lot of personal development, so I'll talk about myself. And I found when I was younger and didn't have, and I see this with clients as well, but I don't want to talk about that so much, but more about when you have low self-worth, it's either, first of all, you can't make the money, but you may get past that and you might be able to make the money, but then you can't hold on to the money. So your self-worth and your net worth are so intrinsically, well, I trip over my tongue, intrinsically linked. So there's so much importance on building up your self-esteem, building up your self-concept, building up your self-worth in order to be able to not just make money, but then invest it. I know we've talked about this too, Scott. It's so important to realize your business is an actual machine where you get the cash and then you go and buy stuff that makes you money, not shit that costs you money, excuse my language, but yeah, because it's all about building assets, not liabilities, and I see that play out. What would I'll bring Ellen back into the conversation. Ellen, what would you say to people on this topic?
So much is coming up for me right now. My first great mentor, Frank Blau, said the problem in our industry is a self-esteem problem. At some point, a young person is told they're going to wear a patch or a tie. They're going to go to school and become an executive, or they're going to be a tradesperson. And very often, one of the things when someone comes on board at Zoom Drain, I will ask them, "Did you tell your mom you're going to be a drain cleaner?" And he'll say, "Yep." And I said, "Was she happy about it?" And it's, "Nope." And I'll say, "Well, here's a couple things to tell your mom about how much disease you prevent, more than doctors will ever cure, and that 70% of the world has inadequate sanitation and dies as a result of that. 30% of the people in the world poop on the ground. These diseases are what decimate societies. Electricians wrangle lightning, HVAC contractors create weather. And you know what's so cool right now? Across the world, the trades are having a moment.
Yes.
You don't have to go into debt up to your eyeballs. I think that, and go to school and not get a job. You can make a 6-figure income as a service technician and work anywhere in the world with that skill set. So I think, it's changing now, and it's really cool to see in my lifetime. But certainly what Scott said, man, hit me right between the eyes. If you don't have any money, it's really hard to have a great self-worth, and it's going to be very hard on your relationship for sure. So money buys options, and it just gives you so much more. Zig Ziglar says money's not the most important thing, but it's right up there with oxygen on the gotta have it meter.
I've used that in the past. It's a fantastic.
I love that. Yeah. So just underlining everything that Irwin said there, and you too, Adrian. And thank you for being so vulnerable, because so often that the issues that we have in our relationships, in our business, aren't because we don't know what to do or the math is so hard. It's more the emotional blocks that
absolutely,
we're dealing with from, moments where someone maybe in your past told you, well, you're not smart enough to go to college, so you might as well be a trades.
Well,
that
is in the band's world, right? And relation, we departmentalize everything. We put things in compartments. We never open those boxes up again. They come back and bite us in the ass somewhere, guaranteed, right? So people tell I'm the worst at this too.
The worst.
I'm locked in and go, keep going, more about that later. But you never, you be down the street, you never.
Hey, you're talking about it now. This is a big deal. That's very cool.
I know it's a mistake that I've made in life. And if you can help other people identify that before it becomes too hard, it's about baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I would kick myself if I didn't share this. I'm a massive believer on personal development, and bringing it back to the husband and the wife in a business. I think one of the key things is, yes, we have professional development, which is learning how to sell and market and numbers and accounts, etc. But we've also got to put a big part of that work that we do on the personal development, on working on our past potential traumas, potential self-limiting beliefs. And something that I've used and I use with all my clients is NET, neuro-emotional technique. I'm probably the biggest raving fan of this. It's in America, it's in Australia, it's everywhere. Mainly chiropractors do it, and it's been absolutely transformational in my life, my client's life. Check it out. There's websites. If you look at neuro-emotional technique, get onto it, because it can really make a profound difference upon your personal life as well as your business. So yeah, get into it. So if you want some more advice, if you reach out to us, we're happy to talk about it as well. But so yeah, I don't want to hog the spotlight. It's all about the couples here, and Ellen and you as well. So I just love to add that little bit of value to everyone. So
well, we had Hot Rod on the call, but he already disappeared.
He was in between podcasts. Yeah, absolutely. So, Ellen, we'll bring in some closing comments on working with a partner, a significant other. What would you like to say to the listeners?
Well, my personal journey was, it was like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We had to get the money handled in order to have the capacity, the freedom, the space to start talking about other things, like what do you want to be when you grow up, and why are we doing this, and so on. So no bad thing comes from, like what Scott said, get the money figured out, charge the right price, dig in your heels, and then you have the breathing room to say, okay, what do we want? If you have a little retreat, I wrote a book called The Weekend Biz Plan. It's really it's a skinny book. I give it away. I'll send you the link. But the idea of it was
we'll share it with everyone.
Yeah, because the idea of it, because people came to me, I hate my husband, I hate my mom, we're all fighting. And I said, well, do a little retreat like, responsible business people do. They go and they decide what they want, and they share, I said, you can do that. So I put a little retreat together, and it really is centered on, what do you want? And then if you do that individually and bring those thoughts together, you might find some common ground, and you can see just in their body language and in their words how aligned the Irwins are. They're on the same page. We're not feeling a lot of discord, or they're going. And if you're not, then you have this chance in a safe environment to say, I'd rather do something else. I once had a client tell me he was just waiting for his dad to die to move him out of the business. And I said, well, he's 65. He could be around for like 30 more years. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, that's not where we want to end up. We want to give each other the freedom to be ourselves, and then maybe we'll find some common ground and do some cool things together.
Lovely. Thank you so much. I'll move over to
send you
Vicky.
that, Sarah. Okay.
Vicky, over to you. What's the final closing comments you'd like to say to the listeners?
Well, I was laughing at Ellen's because that's probably what our children are saying right now. We can't wait for you.
Not always, but overall, the energy is right there.
I guess three things. And the first one would be, have patience with each other because this is not an easy journey. Working with each other is hard. The second thing would be you've got to laugh. You've got to laugh at each other, with each other. I mean, we make fun of each other all day long. And anyone that knows us would know that. I probably laugh a bit too much at it. But, that's just my trait. And, the third thing was make time for each other outside of your other love, which is your business. You've got to actually make the time for each other to sit down, talk, hopefully not about work, but they would be my recommendations and my thoughts. And happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vicky. Scott, over to you.
Needs respect. You've got to have respect for each other at all levels and all places. It's so important. The next one, and this is probably the most important thing in life generally, forgive. Learn to forgive people. You're going to go, your partner's going to do the wrong thing. Forgive. It's so, so important.
Powerful.
And then the third thing is have a commitment to it. You've really got to commit to this. This is not a walk in the park with any stretch of imagination. You've really got to work your ringer out here. And you've got to work on two fronts, working in the business and you've got to work on yourselves. And it's so important.
Marriage,
and
family.
There's so many aspects. There's friends, there's family, thought. Then you have the people you work really closely with. And that will come some of the respect too. Right? You got to respect all that and make that such a community for you to prosper. If you don't do it, it's a really shit road. If you do it, it is unreal, and you have some of the best relationships with people. And some of my best friends in this industry from the States, I'm there, are amazing. And and that is the best thing about it.
Lovely. Scott, Vicky, Ellen, I've had so much fun.
Me too.
This is the second one. Can we do it? No. We'll do a third in maybe 12 months' time or something like that, and a recap and a catch up. But I can't thank you all enough. It's been a joy, and I can't wait again. Going back to our earlier podcast, see you all in Sydney in April, and have an awesome Valentine's Day.